Yep.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Take a deep breath. All right.
Okay.
Robbie, thanks for coming on interviewworld.com.
Thank you, Linda. Thanks for having me.
You say Jack Bruce of Cream was your main inspiration for learning bass. What stood out about his playing?
How he just played with this reckless abandon, you know, like, it was really the live Cream stuff. I was familiar with Sunshine of Love and that stuff, but when I heard the Wheels of Fire record, you know, and that live version of Crossroads and Spoonful, just how he just had this, there was just this great balance going in with, you know, most players were staying in the pocket and just, which is great, you know, but what he was doing was like, there was just this whole dialogue going on. It was like this yin and yang between the guitar and the drums, and it just blew my mind. Today it still does, you know. If I play if I hear it in the car, I just crank it, and it's just like, it still raises the hair on my neck.
Yeah.
You know? So it's, you know, yeah, Jack was my hero, man. Yeah.
It's amazing how when you hear those old pieces that they're just timeless.
Timeless.
They're timeless.
You know, Ginger Baker did an interview years ago and said, you know, will Cream stand the test of time? And he says it has and it will, you know, and there's no doubt about it, you know.
Considering your early interest in bands like Cream, what was it that got you moving in the direction of fusion?
Well, the Cream thing was, there was so much, it was so much based on improvisation, you know, and which is an element of jazz, and we started, I was always playing with guys and getting into the improv thing, and then a friend of mine brought over a Return to Forever record, Where Have I Known You Before? And when I heard that opening track, I think it's Vulcan Worlds, and Stanley Clarke just killer solo, you know, and it was like, yeah, we got to start doing that, man. So we just started getting all into, you know, Mahavishnu, Weather Report, Brand X, you know, and not only hearing Stanley Clarke, who also helped develop my style, but Percy Jones, one of the most underrated guys in the world, you know, and it was just something about their uniqueness as well that really led me into that path.
You developed a love for the 6-string fretless bass along the way. How did that happen, and what do you find so special about that instrument?
Well, it really is, it's just fretless bass, you know. It was, I was hanging out at a local guitar center and playing the stuff off the rack, and just a way to stay out of trouble. And they opened up a box and they hung up on the rack this fretless Fender bass, and I just grabbed it and started playing it. It was like, this is it, you know. And it was like, I took my bass from home, brought it right to the repair shop, and said, just pull all the frets out, you know. And it was just, I never looked back. It was always fretless for me, and so the 6-string concept came later because all my earlier basses were 4 strings. But the 6-string concept, I've read an article with Anthony Jackson when he was developing a contrabass 6-string bass, and he was talking about why it makes sense, because you have the extra low string, because keyboard bass at the time was putting a lot of bass players out of work. And it just makes so much more sense to have the extra low string, and for phrasing the extra high string. And it just, as soon as I was able to, as soon as one came out, I bought one, and it just works for me. You know, some guys like 5, 4, but this, for me, it works, and especially in the ohm thing, it helps to have just that little extra high string and low string.